bass, no trouble. I'm all about that bass, no trouble. I'm all about that bass,
Yeah, it's pretty clear. I ain't no size two, but I can shake it like I'm supposed to do. 'Cause I got that boom boom that all the boys are chasing, all the right junk in all the right places. I see those magazines working on Photoshop. You know that stuff ain't real. Come on and make it stop. If you got beauty, then raise them up, 'cause every inch of you is perfect from the bottom to the top. My mama, she told me that way about your size. She said, boys, I got it tomorrow, but you do more than I. You know I won't be no stick figure, silicone Barbie doll. So if that's what you're into, then go ahead and move along. Because you know I'm all about the baseline.
So today is March the 5th, 2026. Dr. Dina, and the video is titled Your Lean Body Engine, Metabolism and Vitality. So if you've been following along, this is the third video in a series. The first one we did about a month ago, and that was titled Fat Belly. And I did the chicken dance song. You know, I had the tongs measuring my fat. And we talked about how fat is a survival mechanism, right? If your body is stressed, if you're in an environment where there's a lot of chemicals, if you're holding emotional baggage, your body can sometimes sequester, right, those toxins, whether it's chemical or emotional or physical even, into the fat tissue. And that can, you know, again, is a protective mechanism. So we talked about the gelatin trick, and you know, putting a teaspoonful of gelatin, and we looked at how that increases a certain amino acid called glycine, and how it tricks your body into fat metabolism to burn up your fat stores. We also looked at how menopausal bodies are different in that video, how it during menopause your estrogen decreases, so you don't have estrogen to sort of buffer the cortisol, and we give some specific examples. I'll post I'll post this in a paradigm at the end. But video 2, just to kind of go back and give you a little background, it was titled Slim Belly, and that was a locomotion song. Remember? Do the locomotion with me. In that one, we talked about medium chain triglycerides, polyphenols, light and movement, and resistance training. So since that video, I've been doing resistance training. And just to give you an update, I have lost about a quarter of an inch, but I'm being more intense and more regular now with my resistance training. So I think that will help turn things around even faster and get rid of my muffin top has disappeared. Now I'm just working on inches. But today's video, we're going to talk about protein, pH, and the nervous system as weight balancing strategies. But the message is really that you're perfect as you are. You really are, from the bottom to the top. And the tools and tips that I'm giving you are really just to fine tune, right, that divine structure that you are. So protein is a big story. I wrote a whole article about it that I'll post to this video, so I don't go into all the details. But basically, it's better if you can eat your protein, right, from a source that doesn't have too many chemicals, so grass-fed beef, wild fish, eggs. I list in that article some sources of protein. If you can't get a gram per kilogram of body weight, which is what's recommended. So if you're 60 kilograms, for example, you'll need 60 grams of protein. That's a lot of protein. There's only about 6 grams in an egg. So that's a lot of eggs. Or chicken breast, 20 grams. So most people will need to supplement with something. And there's all sorts of different proteins. I'm not suggesting one in particular. I haven't found actually one that is perfect for me. Dr. Gundry's protein was one that I liked, but I can't get it in Canada. But hemp protein is something that my body tolerates best, being an O positive. You know, the whey protein can create inflammation in some bodies if you're not processing it well. And it can create inflammatory conditions. So with some protein, you know, you may be using, if you're using a whey protein, you're noticing stiffness in your joints, inflammation in your skin, that sort of thing. Maybe the protein is not, you're not digesting it well. So pea protein is not so good for me. And the whey protein, I took whey protein for many years and promoted it and sold it in my practice, but the more I learn, the more I'm sort of changing. So I'm not recommending any particular protein, but I will take a picture of what I've showed you, because I know things are backwards here and you may not be able to read it. But a friend of mine recently told me about Glow Aminos. So it's an essential amino acid powder that I sometimes take now before I work out. So this is a way that you can increase your protein. The other part of that story is pH, potential hydrogen. Thank you for being here, everyone. Potential hydrogen. So this measures hydrogen ions, and alkaline is more basic, anything that's above a pH of 7, and acidic is anything less than a pH of 7. And disease lives in acidic body. Why? Because it doesn't circulate energy. It's lower deficient in energy. So test strips that you can buy, pH strips you can get on Amazon. I'd recommend one that has incremental. This one is not as good. There's a test strip one that you can get that has more sensitive, I guess, increments. Because each increment is a tenfold change in the hydrogen ions. So if you go from 5 to 0.5, that's a big difference in your body. And the electrical potential increases in a more alkaline body. But I had this conversation with another doctor friend recently, and he says, look, the pH of your blood doesn't change. And I said, no, you're right, it doesn't. I mean, slightly up or down. If the pH of your blood changes, it's a medical emergency. So when someone says, what's your pH, or try to keep your pH down, what they're talking about is the saliva and the urine pH. And that's what I'm going to discuss here. The details of this I put in my new book, which is 8 Steps to Aligning to Your Power. And this information came from my mentor and teacher, Dr. Sheldon Deal, who's an applied kinesiologist. And in my book, I give you the charts of which foods can change if you want to alkaline, make your urine more alkaline, or you want to make your saliva more acidic, or whatever it is for you, because we're all different. So you can't really make a decision or suggest foods for people to eat unless they know what their pH is. So step 1 is to buy these pH strips from Amazon and to play with it. Every sacred circle I've had many of the sacred circles I've had at my house, I have this in the bathroom, you know, so instead of, I don't know, some sort of flowers or hand towels, people get to check their pH of their urine. But because it's an important indicator of health. And the blood pH is around 7.3, 7.4. And we have ways of balancing the pH in our blood. So breathing, for example, we can increase our respiratory rate, get rid of more carbon dioxide, will make you more alkaline. The kidneys can excrete more acids, and that can help balance your blood pH. Or if you're continually acidic, because you're drinking lots of coffee and eating large amounts of meat and eating processed foods and things that increase your acid, you will actually take calcium from the bone. You will take your buffers, you know, the things that, the alkaline minerals to buffer your blood. So, you know, being more acidic is a marker for disease. So the saliva, now there's going to be lots of discrepancy around this. There's lots of ranges, let's say. This is the range that was given to me by Dr. Sheldon Deal, and I really love his things, and it's worked for me because I've been testing my pH pretty regularly, and this seems to be what is normal. Okay, so the saliva pH should be 6.9, so just a little less than 7, which is neutral. And the urine pH ideally should be around 6.4. Now I know there's people that will say it should be up to 8, and that's fine if you want to follow someone else. I'm just giving you what works for me. If your urine is too basic, it can signal infection, like a UTI, urinary tract infection, or kidney disease, or other things. So trying to get your urine to 8 might not be the best thing for you. But in my book, 8 Steps to Aligning to Your Power, I give examples, I give foods. It'll go into the whole routine, but that's the basis, the nuts and bolts of it anyway, right there. So foods. Your stomach, this is another misnomer. Your stomach has a 2 pH, very acidic. So if you're taking an antacid medication, you're making your stomach pH more basic. Now, why do you think stomach acid is there? Why do you think the Great Spirit put a 2.0 plus or minus in your stomach? Because it's meant to help you digest food, but also to kill bacteria and parasites. So if you're continually having foods that, let's say, lower that pH of your stomach, it may make you more susceptible to other diseases, fungus and, bacteria and parasites. So lemons and lime, for example, metabolize, because they're acidic on the outside, right? And you think, okay, if I eat a lemon, I'm going to be more acidic, but in your stomach, they metabolize to more alkaline residue. So it's not so much what the food is on the outside, is how it's metabolized in your body that determines if it will help you be more acidic or more alkaline. And things like meat and coffee, refined sugar, processed grains, for example, make your metabolize to more acidic residue products. So it's a little different than what you'd think. So you may vary a point or two, right, over what's normal, saliva being 6.9, urine being 6.4, but the ideal, the optimal level difference is like 0.5, a half a point. And again, in the book, I give some indications for if they're reversed. If they're reversed, where your urine is more alkaline than your saliva, that's a serious condition. You're having a serious health condition and should seek medical attention. So what I'm suggesting to you here are just little ways that you can balance. Now, how does that pH fit into weight or weight gain? If your body is more acidic, you will lose the body charge. You have less electrical potential, and your body stores fat. So an acidic body not only has less electrical charge, it reduces your energy, and your body tries to protect you really from this is by holding weight, by holding fat. Incidentally, an interview I did with Tony Pantelleresco and also Patty Broussard, they both say the same thing, that if your body is more acidic too, you're more susceptible to the EMF radiation because you act like a battery, like an acid battery, and you're more susceptible. So keeping your pH a little higher in your saliva and your urine actually helps you lose weight, keeps you in optimal health, and gives you a protection against the EMF frequencies. So I think that's all I wanted to say about there. But I will post the links to that book, 8 Steps to Aligning to Your Power, because there's so much in there. And I think I put down the page. It's page 105 that you'll find the pH information. Look for the picture of the lemons and you'll see it. So all this information, I know I've had so many questions about this, not so many, a few questions about what I've been presenting on belly fat and nutrition and weight loss or weight balancing. So what I did is put all the information, all the articles, all the information, so the 2 articles, the 2 videos, and other writings that I've done. My first article with Optimize magazine back in 2000 and 6 was about obesity and the connection to cancer. So you'll see some of that information in the book. A term called obesogens that was coined in 2006, man-made chemicals in the environment that create obesity. So there's many different angles. And what I did is put it into an ebook. I'll post that link. It's called Your Lean Body Engine, Metabolism and Vitality. And I just sort of recycled and synthesized all of what I've done so far. So if you missed the first 2 videos, you can pick up the digital book and you'll have all the information. I'll just review over. Chapter 1 is going to be belly fat survival and how it's protective, right? Protective against chemicals, emotions, things in the environment, stress, and also why then, right, during menopause, belly fat becomes a problem. Chapter 2, the nervous system. Resets the metabolic tone. This is something I forgot to talk about. And as a chiropractor for 23 years, I love chiropractic. I'm adjusted every 2 weeks myself. I can't say enough good about chiropractic because it balances and optimizes the nervous system. And if the nervous system is the nervous system is the master control system of your body. First system to differentiate, just hours after conception. And it controls the differentiation and growth of all the other systems. So if your nervous system is not in a good alignment, it affects things like metabolism, immune system function, water retention, also energy, all sorts of other things. So I remember, and I put a story in this digital book here about, I had a number of patients when I was in practice, and one lady in particular I remember, and she said, I've just lost 5 pounds this week. And I said, what? What are you doing differently? She said, nothing. The only thing I'm doing differently is the chiropractic. And she said, I've only had 3 adjustments this week. And she said, I just can't believe it. I'm eating the same. I haven't done any different exercise. Everything's the same. And I've lost 5 pounds. So needless to say, she was a patient for life. No, but once your nervous system's balanced, then the weight loss petered out. It was like she had an initial weight loss until her body found that natural set point, right? The metabolism. So again, as a chiropractor, I'm a little biased, but I love the nervous system. And it's such a key piece to your health, not just weight loss and weight balancing. And if you're stressed, if you have a subluxation in your spine that's irritating the nervous system, and you're stressed because, the chief medical officer is trying to inject you with a bioweapon, boom, then you've got like double the stress. So naturally, your body is going to hold weight to try to protect you in case you need to run away from the tiger. You need energy reserves, right? Okay, so chapter 1, the survival. Chapter 2, the nervous system. Chapter 3, fuel matters. And there's where I give you the details on the protein. Different proteins, different amounts, 1 gram per kilogram of body weight is what they recommend. It's hard for me to eat that much, actually. So I do take it in supplement form, in shakes. Chapter 4 is timing. So I talk about intermittent fasting, light, circadian rhythms, and how blue light makes you fat and sick. So Dr. Cruz says, and give a little bit of that detail that I've posted and wrote about before. Chapter 5, muscle is metabolic gold. Why? Because you're burning calories when you're asleep. And why resistance training turns up metabolism. And I posted a little picture of myself there with like these big biceps. Back when it was one-to-one wellness, Nick Matheson, I just did 10 weeks, once a week. 20 minutes once a week for 10 weeks, and I had these voluptuous biceps. So I've just started now with with the same company, renamed. It's called One Up Fitness, and highly recommend them because they're using kind of maximum weight to fatigue, slow and fast switch muscle fibers. So it's low reps, higher weight, quick results, basically. So that is chapter 5, muscle is metabolic gold. Chapter 6, chemistry counts. So that's where I talk about the minerals, the pH, and the metabolic tension. A little more detail than what I went over here. Chapter 7 is the obesogens. So that's the modern environment, right? Obesogens just really mean man-made chemicals that make you fat. And the research says it's not just humans that are getting fatter, our animals are getting fatter too. So I tell you about the talk about the obesogens and how to mitigate that damage, not just in plastics and things like that, but also, we're being sprayed upon, right, by chemicals that can make us sick too. Chapter 8, emotional body, unconscious weight holding. I coached a lady once who was overweight and she was wanting to lose weight. So in my chiropractic practice, I also had kind of a health coaching business on the side where I talked about nutrition and diet and lifestyle. And I've studied nutrition for 35 years, but intensely with Dr. Machino, Adiva Health. And you can use him as a resource online. Adiva, Adeeva, and Dr. James Machino has many different articles on many different things, and I did a orthomolecular courses with Dr. Machino over the years, and I sold his products and coached patients. So that was part of the coaching business, but I also helped with emotional things because they're all tied together, right? Chemical, emotional, physical, you can't really separate them. So as I was coaching this lady about weight, it came up that she was sexually abused. And as we kind of worked through our emotions around that, we realized, or she realized, that she was holding weight to make herself unattractive because, again, it was an unconscious protective mechanism. Fat is a protective mechanism, right? For emotions, for toxins, for stress, whatever. So I talk a little bit about that in chapter 8, the emotional or unconscious reason why you could be holding weight. Chapter 9, the last one, repair, rest, and regulation. So that's where I talk about sleep and recovery, repair, chiropractic care. And I close with a checklist of things to summarize, what you can do in the morning, get some sunlight, for example. What you can do in the afternoon, take your protein shake. What you do is resistance training. So I just give you a little checklist of all the things that I've said and kind of put it together in that package. So I will attach those 2 books, one where you'll get the pH information and the chart of different foods, the 8 steps to aligning to your power. And the second one, your lean body engine, metabolism and vitality, is the one I just went over with all those chapters. So I think that it'll be helpful for you. I am having some email issues. Since I did put out that first ebook, my Gmail seems to have gone a little crazy. So messages come in and then they disappear, and all my contacts, book contacts, kind of disappeared. So I'm going to be, if you can't reach me through Gmail or my website, wellnessastrologer.com, I'll put in my Proton Mail email address attached to this video. If you're having trouble downloading or there's any problems and you can't reach me, you'll have another email address to reach me. So I'll summarize by just saying thank you for all the comments, and I want to thank Facebook friends for their feedback on that first book. I was having some publishing difficulties, and the digital copy was a way that I could share the information quickly. So thank you for that, and thank you for the people who bought that first digital book. So I had a goal to share it with 10 people this week, and I had 10 people buy it on Monday. So I reached my goal for the week. Thank you. Now, granted, one of those persons who's such a wonderful human being bought 4 PDFs. I think he was just sending a message that he wanted to support me. So thank you, Wolf, for that. I really appreciate it. Can't really talk about it or I might get choked up with gratitude, but I do so much appreciate your support. So I'll put all this into 2 links, attach it here with another email address if you can't reach me on Proton Mail. And I just invite you to go out there and reach for the stars. You're perfect just as you are. Reach for the stars, envision, and then put the action steps in place, right, to achieve your best. And most of all, in love, in grace, and enjoy the journey. I love you guys.